What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumb ass. Like and subscribe. So, there has been a lot of, I was about to say discussion, but it's not actually discussion. It's actually crying, coping. Seething is a word I never use, but it kind of goes together with all this rhetoric that's going on. But that's probably the last time I'm gonna use it. Only I might use it in jest to make fun of somebody, but not really. So the internet is ablaze at the fact that PlayStation is officially going multi-platform. I mean, they've been multi-plat for years. I mean, when MLB The Show was on Game Pass for the first 2 years, that was red flag. That was the biggest red flag. That was like, oh, that's it. And, once again, it was like the excuses came out. Like, oh, it's MLB. They own it, so they made Sony do it. I'm like, okay, I could believe that. Maybe that's the case. And so with that line of thinking, right? Then when Spider-Man, not if, there's no if, no Herman Sherman, no if. When, you said it right first. He said when Spider-Man comes to Xbox, and that's not port begging. That's just basically saying, oh, Disney / Marvel is gonna be like, yo, where's our money? And then all the ponies and donkey unicorns will be like, oh, Marvel and Disney forced Sony to put it on Xbox because that's not their IP. Because it's not. That's what's gonna happen. And I foretold it. I have foreseen it. Now, right now, they're probably safe because it's probably a contractual thing which has a statute of limitations. There's a date on that and says 10 years, whatever it is. It's been 8 years already. So maybe it is 10 years. Maybe in 2028, Spider-Man comes to Xbox. Who knows? But it can't be in perpetuity because Marvel / Disney are not dumb enough to sign a contract like that again, which is the whole thing that they're enthralled with Sony owning the movie rights to Spider-Man at the moment. But although I keep hearing rumors that they might sell it back or Marvel might acquire it back or something. I don't know. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe they can say, yo, just because they made these movies, but it's diminishing our value, or there's a whole bunch of things that could happen. Or they could just give Sony a bunch of money and say, hey, we want it back, buy back, or whatever. I don't know, whatever. But the point is that what's happening in the industry right now is good because it's kind of self-correcting and correcting itself back to how it was originally in the early days of video games, where except for the NES era, I'm talking about arcade games, and then arcade games coming to home consoles. Like I always use as example, you could say Space Harrier, you can say Afterburner. A lot of popular arcade games was on every console because usually the console makers didn't make the game. Now, Atari had their Atari 2600, 5200, 7800, right? But they weren't powerful enough to actually do most of their arcade games. Their arcade games were way more powerful. And that was another thing back in the day. The arcade games were so much more powerful than that. I don't think that these the game makers, and they were a super small team. Like one guy made ET, which is whatever. One guy made Adventure. It was like one two-man team, one man teams making all these games, right? But I don't think they were too concerned about exclusivity because they knew that the power of the home consoles weren't enough to really do justice for the arcade counterpart. So they were just like, just put it on, just poured it on everything. We just need to make as much money as we can, just put it everywhere, right? And then, boop, 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 boop. I think the exclusivity thing started with the NES only because it was Nintendo who started this. And I mean, technically it was Atari and ColecoVision, but that was only because they had bespoke hardware that it was just, you know, exclusive. And actually Activision worked for Atari. And back in the day, they didn't give their devs any credit. It was just Activision, you know. And then they started putting their names. The devs started putting their names on their games, like Bob Kane. I forgot who made the Pitfall, but that's what they did in order to get some recognition, because they weren't really getting any recognition. They were just employees. And so, you know, as time goes on, the power gets better. You know, I mean, actually, yeah, you know, I'm gonna roll it back a little bit, because exclusivity kind of always existed on consoles because of the bespoke nature of the hardware. You couldn't really port an Atari 2600 to a Coleco. I mean, you could, but what it was is you just made a ColecoVision version of said game. But it wasn't like Atari's Pac-Man wasn't exclusive to Atari 2600. I mean, did I say Atari's Pac-Man? Wow. Namco's Pac-Man. And so, you know, it was different. It was definitely different back then. And I remember looking at Outrun, you know, a Sega arcade game, originally arcade game. Then, of course, on Sega Master System, it's on the Genesis, it's on the 32X. I think it's on the 32X. And then it's on that freaking Vectrex. It's on everything. Commodore 64. It's on the Amiga, Atari ST. It's on everything. It's not on the. It's not. I don't think it's on the 7800. I don't think it's on the earlier consoles, the Atari consoles. It's not on ColecoVision. I don't think. But like most games from that era are on like Commodore 64, and they're trash. They're hot trash garbage games. But it's like, you know. And I guess that was a difference. That you know. It was just like, oh yay, the arcade version, kinda sorta, and you bought it and you were disappointed because it wasn't arcade. But anyway, sorry for the little nostalgia trip. But what's happening now, right? Sony ditching the console importance, the console metric, console unit metric, and going for MAUs and engagement, which is, they've been saying this for years, but Ponies just want to ignore it. They don't want to admit it. But it's happening. It's happening right in front of their face. They keep telling them right to their face. They say, no, that's not what they meant. They meant this. I'm like, how are you going to change what a person says? That's what they said. That's what they meant. That's it. And they've been, no, they're talking about movies and TV shows. I'm like, oh, y'all are, I mean, I hate to say like coping, but y'all got copium full blast. Going through the vents, y'all just, because it's like, how do you not see it? And look, the Xbox community, we went through it. We good now because we were looking at the PlayStation list of most bought games. I'm like, wow, Xbox is just running them fools. All right, cool. Because bottom line is the bottom line, and the bottom line is, as long as Xbox is successful, making money, making that profit, then they're gonna keep on making games for us. And they've been doing a really good job of making games for us. So as long as you Donkey Unicorns and Ponies want to buy these old ass games to support the Xbox community, I'm fine with it. I have no problem with y'all enjoying our old ass games for us to come up with some new stuff. Some new stuff for us. So that's what's, you know, kind of happening. And Sony says, oh, we should do that too, because money, right? Whatever. But the Ponies and Donkey Unicorns, you know, da, da, da. But the other thing that's happening, I don't know if you guys are noticing, is that the hardcore PlayStation community is turning on itself and on PlayStation. In particular, Hiroki Totoki. Like, he's the devil. He's the bad man. I mean, y'all thought Jim Ryan was bad. I mean, I know Jim Ryan was worse than Hiroki Totoki, only in that he was not a good business, I don't want to say leader, because he did make PlayStation money, I guess SEA. I mean, it's Sony Entertainment of Europe. whatever the acronym is for that. Because he was in charge of Europe, of the Europe branch until he got promoted, right? And he was making the money, but I think he just kind of lucked into that. Maybe it was the advertising or maybe he shut everybody else out, and it was just PlayStation. And so I think it was UK, not Europe, excuse me. And so, and if you like extrapolate that, you say, okay, well, if he shut everybody out and it was just PlayStation primarily kind of running UK, then sure, everybody's gonna buy a PlayStation because that's the only thing to actually buy. And like I said, if you broaden that out, that's kind of how they've been doing business, to shut everybody out, and it's only PlayStation. PlayStation is the only choice, and that's how they've been successful, is by eliminating their competition instead of being better than their competition and letting their product win the day, win the war. But they haven't been doing that, and people are misconstruing. They're saying, "Oh, PlayStation has better games and this and that." I mean, that's opinion. But if you don't have competition, then how can you gauge how good a game is when there's nothing to go against it? And I say that to say this: every time a Horizon game came out for PlayStation, something else came out and ate its lunch. It smacked it up and down the internet. The first game, Horizon Zero Dawn. Zelda came out, said smack, get out of here with that bullshit, right? Second game came out, Horizon Forbidden West. Elden Ring came out, smack, get out of here with that mess. Twice. Now, if those games were the pinnacle, the best, they would have no competition because they would be the best. They would win the competition. They didn't win. They lost twice. And that is an illustration of the overall kind of environment that Sony has. Because if you look at all those games, if you look at all the games that they've been putting out, right, they may be good, they may look good and all this stuff, but they didn't really have competition. But now there is competition. Remember Satya said, "Let us have competition," blah blah. That's exactly how he sounds. And now it's happening. And now the ponies are like, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. And Sony's like, we need to make money. Hiroki's like, yo, I just looked in the vault where all our money is supposed to be. There's no money in there. Where'd all the money go? Herman said, well, the Horizon Lego game. Listen, Herman, I'm tired. I'm tired. My name is Hiroki Tired. Cause you and your stupid ass redhead jungle girl with the electric dinosaur dreams, I'm tired of that. You better come up with something better than that. Well, you have to understand that. Okay. Sorry. No. Dude, Herman Holtz was like the worst dude to be. I don't want to say he was the worst dude, but he has been trying to push his IPs and his people and his studio, Guerrilla, and his engine, Decima. Now, I'm not saying Decima engine is trash. I mean, Hideo Kojima did some work, and it's a beautiful engine. But I mean, is it better than other engines? I don't know. I don't know the nitty gritty ins and outs and stuff of Decima like that. So I can't say if it is better, if it is worse, if it is easier to use and all that stuff. But I think that's the best thing about Herman Holtz and Guerrilla and all that stuff that's happening over there. Sony is probably that engine. But everything else, I mean, Death Stranding 2, meh. The Horizon series, meh. I'm like, if Horizon comes to Xbox, depending on how much they're charging, maybe I'll get the first one. I heard the second one was trash. Maybe I'll get the first one. Or maybe I'll just watch the videos online and say, I just want to know what the story is. I don't care about the dinosaur things. I don't know. But like, okay, so games coming to Xbox, right? Spider-Man. When Spider-Man comes, I'll get Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales. Spider-Man 2, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not. But the first and the second, and the thing about that is, like, I was thinking about today. I was like, I play Sunset Overdrive. I think I'm gonna go back and play because there was a rumor that they're redoing it. They're doing I think a remaster. And so I was like, all right, cool. I'll play it again when they remaster it. And the thing about Sunset Overdrive that people don't understand or realize that it is literally the foundational building blocks of what Spider-Man is. It's basically a palette swap. Except you're not swinging, you're grinding on telephone cables and stuff and everything. And the wall running animation is exactly the same as Sunset Overdrive. Somebody needs to do it side by side. Maybe I'll do it side by side because nobody's done it. Maybe somebody probably did it. But anyway, that, like, Sunset Overdrive, I remember how Sunset Overdrive was like, okay, cool. I mean, the only difference is that the city is kind of empty. The city is empty. Sunset City is empty because of the Overdrive pandemic, basically. And so I'm like, okay, I think they could have had more variation of Overdrive. I don't actually remember what they're called. Globman, whatever they are. They could have had I think a sequel to Sunset Overdrive would be really cool. They could call it a different city. What's a good city? Springdale Overdrive. I don't know what they call it, but I mean, just follow the company. Like, the company like shut down Sunset City, and then basically the story of Sunset Overdrive is they're trying to not contain the actual zombie hordes, but contain the message that this drink turned all the people into zombies. So it's all like a corporal, like trying to hide the truth, basically, and stuff like that. Anyway, so if you say, okay, that's the corporal. I forgot what the corporation's name is. It's got the Fizzy. Is it Fizzy? I think it might be Fizzy. Anyway, or Fizzy is the mascot. Anyway, they need to do it. To do a sequel, do a different city, right? And follow them. Oh, we got a new drink. It's called Overblast Plus. Then it'd be whatever, Pacifica Overblast Plus. Whatever, you get the idea. But, different city, more mobs, more different variation of mobs and stuff like that. The cool part about Sunset Overdrive, though, there's like a section that's near, where is it? Is it near the water? I can't remember. But there's a wooden roller coaster, and you can get on the wooden roller coaster and like grind all the way around it and just keep going forever and ever. And I'm like, I should probably just do it. I used to do that. I just go there and grind. And you shoot the fools when they come out, pop, 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 pop. And the weapons were crazy, like how they do in all their games. And that's the thing about Sunset Overdrive, is that they can be, there was a record LP gun, and you would shoot records of people like pew, 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 and they were like ricochet, and it was cool. So they had all kind of crazy nice weapons, and it was super creative. And they can't really do that with Spider-Man. I mean, they can get creative, but it's like, there's only certain things there's only a certain amount of spider bombs and whatever web variants that you could do. So they're kind of limited in that respect, but it's cool. They did a good thing, but I think like if they had their creative freedom again, they would do a way better job and a way better game than like what Spider-Man is now. The thing that makes Spider-Man so good is that it's just a popular IP, and Insomniac makes pretty good games. Fuel? Was that what it's called? I think they made a game called Fuel or something. Anyway, it might not be Fuel. It was a different, I forgot what the game was called, but it was a multiplayer game, and it was really not good. I remember I played the demo. I was like, this is Insomniac made this game? Because this is bad. This is a bad game. Okay? All right, bye. But yeah, wow, tangent. So yeah, Spider-Man I'll buy. 2018 and Miles Morales. And then there was another game I said was, God of War. The first 2018. Once again, I'll buy that. But everything, I mean, other than that, I'm like, it's like, it's not really, they're not really hitting. They're not like, they don't really have a huge variety of games. When you think about how Nintendo has their games, they're targeted for a younger audience. And Sony is just mainly mature, except for Astrobot, but that didn't do it well because their audience is not a bunch of kids. Their audience is grown-ass people, basically. That's what they've groomed their audience to be. That's the kind of games that they make. So when you come out with a kiddie game, they'll be like, what the hell is this? What the hell is this bullshit? You know what I'm saying? And so it's, what did they expect? Did they expect freaking Astro Boy? Who calls it Astro Boy? Cigs and Cigarettes calls it Astro Boy. It's so dumb. But yeah, did they expect that to be sell as 10 million copies or something? I mean, it was really a tech demo, and it wasn't all that. I mean, originally it was a tech demo. I mean, I don't know how well each of the Astrobot games did, so maybe somebody needs to come up with them numbers. But yeah, I mean, and that's another thing. I don't know if I said this in the last video, but I'm gonna say it right now. Again, if I did say it again, then I'm gonna say it again. Okay, so you know that Sony's in trouble, right? You know that something is different, right? Not because all the things they're saying, which is totally, antithetical to what they were doing before. They've changed their strategy, even though the ponies don't want to admit it. But I always say this: watch the behavior of these corporations, what they do, what they say, what they don't say. Now, in the past, Sony was always like, oh man, Spider-Man sold it's a million copies in the first 24 hours. They were always bragging about how many game units they sold, how many consoles they sold, all this stuff. Now they just messed up their console number by giving us some whack-ass fake numbers, but whatever makes them feel happy. But they don't say anything about game sales. And when's the last time they said, yo, we so happy that this game sold that many copies in a little bit of time? They don't do that anymore. Why? Because they're not selling games. The only number that they're talking about is that sold through number. They selling to stores. They filling up the warehouses. They trying to get ready for Grand Theft Auto. That's next year. You need to, man. Look, they are. I'm not gonna say they're gonna like disappear like Sega did or anything like that, but they're in a very sensitive position right now, because if Xbox comes out with their next generation console and handheld and such, and they blow up the spot, and everybody wants one, and the new de facto console is Xbox, which may happen because a lot of PC dudes are gonna buy an Xbox so they can throw that Steam machine, which is what it will be, underneath their TV. Plain and simple. That's it. I'm sounding like Sean. Plain and simple. I can't do his voice. And if Xbox becomes the de facto console, what will PlayStation do? What can they do? And a lot of people I hear, oh, they bought a PlayStation 5, they're going to buy a PlayStation 6. I'm like, all you have to do is look at if the console is good enough. If you produce a hardware that is enticing enough for mass population, they will buy it. It's not about, zeitgeist and all that. It's about, it is about that. But it's like, yo, wait, I can play Steam and all this stuff and and Sony and PlayStation games on that. Just one box I can play. And if they don't go crazy with the price, that's another thing. I don't know what Xbox is gonna do, but they have the money. I hate saying this, but they have the money to subsidize the console, and they have the money. I'm not just saying they have. They have the money, obviously, because they're the richest company, but they also have the money in the revenue that they bring in from Game Pass, and of course, selling games. So if they can say, okay, we made this much money on games, this is how much money can they subsidize to break even, as far as profit margins. I know they don't want to do that because I believe they're in the teens right now. I think they're 13% profit margin, and Sony's, what is they at, 7 or 8 now? I don't think they've broken out of 10. I don't think they're in double digits yet. But you know, that's the main thing. And now I also heard last thing. I heard a little snippet or rumor that the actual ROG Xbox Ally and Ally X are going to be $499 and $799 in the US, and the Euro prices were $599 and $899. So I'm like, look, if it's $499 and $799, I mean, it's only $100, but I'm like, I'm thinking. Then I'm like, I should probably get the $799 one, which is what I would do, probably. Can't front on that. Can't be cheap, you know what I'm saying? But I still want to wait for an actual Xbox version, so I am going to sit on that. I am going to wait, and hopefully the tariffs don't make things more worse than they should be. But yeah, that's a good look. If that is, that's a rumor, but if that's the case, that'd be cool. But anyway, I never really got to the point of how the PlayStation community is going against themselves and Hiroki Totoki. And I think Porter Rock posted a Twitter comment, and he had a picture of Hiroki Totoki, and he said, worst person ever. So I forgot what he said, worst CEO ever, or something like that. Paraphrasing, but so that was the sentiment. So I was like, okay. But you know, that's what's happening. You're seeing that the civil war, the pony civil war, and you know, that's how it is. It kind of happened a little bit on the Xbox side with Tim Dog and whoever else. I don't even know, Red Dragon or whoever, Crap Gamer. I mean, they turned years ago, but Tim Dog was the latest. But I don't know if Tim Dog or any of these guys in particular went after Xbox like that. Well, no. Crap Gamer did go after Phil because Phil slapped him across the head. Anyway, I'm sorry rambling. But I appreciate you hanging around, like and subscribe. Let me know what you think about just the craziness with Sony going multi-plat. I mean, it's not crazy, but you know, just the PlayStation community is the crazy part of the whole multi-plat thing. I think it's a good look. I think it's a good thing. I think overall, for the health of the industry, it is the way to go. I just hope that Sony doesn't mess it up. You know, I hope they don't. I mean, it's hard for them to do it. I don't want to say do it right, but it's like they were put in a position by Microsoft, by Xbox, that they have no choice. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, your games are on Steam, right? Steam's gonna be on Xbox, right? So you could either pay Steam, or you can, you know, come with us. And what the Xbox do, rumor, they gave them better points. They get, I think, 80, 88, 12, like the same with Epic. I think they use the same Epic numbers, or maybe 80, 20, who knows? But it's still better than 70. So I'm like, Sony would be dumb to say, no, we're going to go with Epic. I mean, we're going to go with Steam and make less money. They're going to be on Steam anyway. So, but they can put it on Xbox and get those sales and get more money than they would usually. And Xbox was fine. Like, oh, that's cool. Everybody's going to buy our box anyway. I mean, that's people keep saying Trojan horse and all that stuff, but it kind of is. But anyway, I appreciate. I'll talk to y'all guys until the way.